Hello everyone, my name is Emmanuel and the game that I will be showcasing for you today is a horizontal scrolling shooter called Earth Attack. Unfortunately, I could not find a game that had my last initial in it, but this one was fun enough to pique my interest, so it'll be the one I demo for you today. Earth Attack was created by a Canadian company named Zellers. Zeller was mostly known for creating knockoff Atari games that were manufactured in Taiwan. These games were hard to find in the United States, being that it was a Canadian company and these games were mostly sold in Canada. However, Atari was actually able to go after Zellers later and make them stop selling Atari 2600 games altogether. I did try to find out who the developer and designer of this game was. It being a copycat, it was really hard to find any information. I did find one website that stated that the designer was a gentleman by the name of Robert C. Polaro. Again, this was one site. That information might not be accurate, so take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, Zellers was mostly known for creating knockoff Atari games, and you guessed it, Earth Attack is a knockoff an Atari 2600 game called Defender. Defender was released in 1981 by William Electronics, and the developer were two gentlemen by the name of Eugene Jarvis and Larry DeMar. I looked up some videos of Defender, and Earth Attack is an exact mirror and replica of this game. Apparently this wasn't an uncommon occurrence back in this time, during the first gen era. There were a lot of people trying to jump into the market and just creating copycat games of original Atari games. So that's a little background info on the game. Alright, and let me power up the game. So Earth Attack, like the original game Defender, is an arcade-style game where you're basically trying to clear enemies. You have 3 lives, you have to survive. Once you clear the enemies from the game or the level, you proceed on to the next level, which is basically more enemies that move faster and quicker. A little bit more detail on the enemies from what I've gathered is you have different kinds. Some enemies will spawn other enemies when you defeat them. Some lay mines, some come at you in a kamikaze manner. Some teleport across the screen, and you got to try to survive this while trying to just clear out these enemies to proceed to the next level. What I think makes this game kind of unique is the ability to move back and forth on the screen here. I think for an old Atari game, this is actually pretty sophisticated. A lot of older games didn't grant the ability to go back and forth on the screen like this, and those that did would usually keep respawning the same enemies over and over. So I think this is pretty ahead of its time, or at least this idea for game. What I actually really liked about this game, and this is probably just because I'm a huge fan of shooters, is the fact that I'm able to mash the fire button, as you can see here, and just clear out enemies after enemies without having to focus too much on aiming. Another thing I really enjoyed of this game, as you can see at the top center, and you're probably wondering what that is, and as you can see here, I just cleared the level, and we're going on to the next one. Like I was saying, at the top of the screen, you'll see this box there with all these blinking lights, and what that's intended to be is it's a radar. It's supposed to help you navigate around the level, find out where the enemies are and how to maneuver around them or go after them, and where the enemies are left so you can clear the level. I like the idea and the concept of it, but actually, as you can see, the lights are just blinking, and it's really hard to keep an eye on those pixels and see who's an enemy or where I'm at. So it could be very tricky, especially, you're trying to focus there. You might as well keep your attention on the actual screen game itself. Now, what I really didn't like about the game, and it's probably because it counters the one thing I actually liked about the game, is when you mash down the button, and as you can see here, as I'm mashing on the fire button, your ship just blinks out of the screen. And that's really hard, especially in a game where the ultimate goal is survival. You're trying to just stay alive, clear the enemies, move on. So you have to choose, do I want to just spam the button and take down as many enemies as possible, or do I want to live to see the next level? So it's kind of a hit or miss. I almost thought, it's got to be my browser. This is an emulator, so I tried several browsers, and I was having the same results. So I actually went on YouTube and found videos of this game and Defender, and noticed that the people that were showcasing those games had the same issue, whereas they fired, the ship just blinked out. So pretty much it just comes down to either it was bad coding, or it was purposely coded that way just so that the game could run on the limited hardware of its time. Uh, but like again, it's not a huge deal breaker. You just kind of you end up finding that nice sweet spot between firing and moving and keeping an eye on your ship. Um, like I said, Earth Attack is actually it's a lot of fun. It's a copycat of the original game, Defender. But overall, I had a lot of fun playing this game compared to some of the other Atari games that were listed under the category for the letter E. I hope you've all enjoyed this game and this demo and showcase, especially since it's one of my first times doing a video recording like this, which was actually pretty fun. And I look forward to watching some of yours. Thank you. Just want to finish this last level up and end it on a good note. There it is. I see y'all later.